Hey everyone, I hope you're taking it easy and your day has been great thus far. For this video we'll be going through a retrospective unbagging of Imperium Issue 45, and Imperium is for the Warhammer 40,000 setting, and this particular issue of Imperium, at least for Australia, was released back in 2023, thus being a retrospective. But in saying that, I believe it would have been out in the US and the UK well before that, so probably 2020, 2021 was probably the earliest release for the Imperium magazine. Now, this is interesting. This is the actual halfway point of Imperium, issue 45 of 90. I didn't think I would finally hit this point. It's taken a while, but here we are. Straight to the retrospective, front of the issue. So we have a Canoptek Wraith front and center here. Some very impressive artwork there. It's an interesting style. I do quite like it. It's not like a completely solid illustration. It's got a lot of that blurring effect here and there. So it's always a nice imposing figure, especially with that colouring on the actual front of the cover. So in terms of this issue, it will be very much Canoptek Wraith centric, so we will get the one included miniature, some lore information regarding the order of the Valorous Heart. There will be a fold-out regarding the Xenos races, and naturally, being Canoptek Wraith centric, the build and paint instructions. Straight into it. So pretty much the contents page, Canoptek Wraith, fast attack, and weapons and war gear for the Sisters of Battle. And then just a rehash of the lore information that we saw from the front, and then everything else is very much Canoptek Wraith centric. First page, for fast attack options, the Canoptek Wraith. Now I believe they're typically squads, a single squad of 3. So with that being said, that will probably mean there will be 2 more. And I've just realised they actually all have different heads, so that's a good way of making them look distinct. So it's pretty much just a quick page through of the actual unit, some of their weapons and things like that. Naturally there will be the battle record on the back of the page, going through enhancements, battle protocols, other protocols, once again with the random D6 generator. And yes, you've got Wraith 1, 2 and 3. Very nice. That's very cool. In terms of the background for the Adepta Sororitas, weapons and war gear, so we do have a random dice generator here for war gear names, which is always nice. So in terms of some of the gear they have, so they'll have some melee weapons and some ranged weapons, just to once again give it that nice thematic feel. I feel it's good for like characters, maybe not for entire squads. Boy, it's been a while since I've seen that flame of silhouette. Order of the Valorous Heart. So one of the 6 main orders of the Adepta Sororitas. I can't remember what their colour scheme is. It might be white. Don't quote me. So we obviously have this little blurb of text. Some information here about the Sisters Hospitaller. And we also have some information here for the Order of the Argent Shroud. So we've actually had 2 of the orders. I think it's the Orders Militant, if I vaguely recall my history. Vaguely. Factions, the Astra Militarum, aka the Imperial Guard. It'll always be the Imperial Guard to me. I do like how they've gotten that very typewriter font style for the information blurb. So just different information for the Astra Militarum. In fact, we've got some various regiments. So what do we have here? The Steel Legion. If you know, you know. We have Cadians, the Mordian God, Catachans, the Death Corps of Krieg, the I don't know who the Miasmin are, and then the Vestroians. Oh my gosh. At the point of recording, I believe there's actually a made to order for the Vestroians, just to put it out there. So that's very cool. That was a bit of a trip down memory lane. I was never a huge fan of the Imperial Guard. I know people who have been, but they didn't call out to me specifically. But if I ever did, maybe the Cadians. But anyway, how to build the Canoptek Wraith. So we will go through obviously how to detach everything, put things together, etc. So there will be a number of interesting little steps that come through. So it is a interesting build. I won't say it's convoluted, but it's definitely something to be mindful of, that there are definitely a number of steps involved. There will be the 50mm base, 50 millimeter base, which is fine. The base will be included, and then just going through those various steps, because there's talons and claws, etc. You will have to build multiples. So it's interesting how that's all done. There will be some extra components, so yeah, always keep that in mind. There's the 3 different heads that we saw earlier, so that is very, very cool. That was nice. It would be a very interesting build. Probably something you don't necessarily have to sub-assembly, depending on your scheme for your Necrons. How to paint the Canoptek Wraith. So granted, this is issue 45 of Imperium, so there's been a number of paints supplied. So they have elected a Abaddon black base coat, followed by Rune Lord brass for, looks like, the top of the armor panels and parts of the claws, Lead Belcher for some recessed orbs, blades and spikes, Korax white, so more on those orb type features and some of the venting on the weapons, Canoptek alloy, just to break apart some of that metallic. I knew the word, but it's completely exited my head. Anyway, doesn't matter. Cryptic Armor Shade Gloss, just to bring out some of the recesses. The first coming of Norn Oil, which is, you know, to be honest, is being done to very good effect there. So we have a few steps of that. Reichland Flesh Shade, once again, just to help bring out some of the detailing in that previously painted area of Canoptek alloy. Storm Host Silver, just to bring out some of the detailing and highlighting. There will not be a second coming of Norn Oil, only came once. And then lastly, there will be the basing with the typical Astro Granite. And well, technically there was the second coming of Norn Oil, it's just not on the model, it's on the actual base. Final gallery, based on what paints have been made available for 45 issues. Granted, it's not like it was a paint per issue. I dare say that's very close to being at least tabletop ready. Is it parade ready? Probably not. Obviously a lot of these white areas will still need some colour, and probably a green, and I don't know if they're actually planning on doing anything with the actual tail / spine. So there you go. There was also a little note here about some Wraith weapons. The data sheet for the Canoptek Wraith. Now I'm not going to spend too much time on that because it's probably a addition in the past. So it'll be the various shooting weapons and melee weapons, which is very nice to see. And then we're going through into the play side of things with a tutorial of the Wraith, which is interesting. It'll be interesting how Wraith form works in 11th edition. Obviously some of its different mechanics with some of its abilities, and then the actual playthrough mission itself. Canoptek Infestation, Necrons and the Imperium of the Sisters of Battle, Cleanse the Hive as the scout mission. The usual splash page for Imperium at the back. Back of the issue, preview of issues 46 and 47. So 46 will be a number of different Adepta Sororitas reinforcements, 2 Seraphim, some Battle Sisters, Archiflagellant, and a Sisters Repentia. Very interesting. It's been a very ecclesiastic mix of a squad, but hey, probably means, does that mean we get like at least 3 more Seraphim, and I'm sure we get a few more Battle Sisters. 47 will be a paint-based issue with Pink Horror and Wild Rider Red. And when I think of Wild Rider, I think of a particular Transformer. So that was page 3 of issue 45. what else was included? So we do have this page through regarding a number of Xenos races. So this will go straight into the binder. So we have the Orcs, a nice image of a very large Orc War, I guess. The Eldari and the Drukari, aka Eldar and Dark Eldar. I will admit, the models do look quite nice, especially given the new avatar. Well, I call it new because I've seen a few versions of the avatar. We have the Tau Empire and the Tyranids as well. And then we have what I dare say appears to be probably a Tau space map. Although I can probably recognize a few areas. I mean, there's the Damocles Gulf, so I'm assuming this is probably near probably the Ultramarines area, maybe, from what I loosely recall once again. And then there's a little bit of store information here for an alien empire, which is probably still Tau related. So that was a little insert for some of the various Xenos races within 40k. Lastly, the fun part. So there's the 50mm base. So if you need to drill holes, you can. Otherwise, it's completely all one piece. As for the Canoptek Wraith runner, so there's one side of it. There's the other side. So this side won't have as much detailing, given that this is probably, you know, the underside pieces, etc. Everything is pretty much here on the top. But looking at some of the once again, the name is completely eluding me. But anyway, quote-unquote armor. So we do have that. So it does look very cool. It's detailed, but not like insanely detailed. And then we have some of these other pieces here as well. So obviously very nice. And given that it is a unit of 3, I do expect to see this particular runner / sprue at least 2 more times. Probably within the next dozen or so issues. So I'd imagine by issue 60 we'd probably have 3 Canoptek Wraiths by the end of it. So that's very cool. Okay, so I'll just wrap all that back up. Let's try and center things. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the retrospective page through of issue 45 of Imperium. As I said earlier, halfway point has now been reached. Another 45 issues to go, and that'll be it. Which basically means if I do stick to an issue per week, that's 45 weeks, which means I will finish sometime in 2027. That's a long way away, comparatively, given at the point of recording, it's the end of May. There we go. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this retrospective unbagging video. Feel free to do the whole like, comment, subscribe. It does help support the channel, and I do appreciate it. Feel free to check out my Instagram and the YouTube community tab. It is a little stagnant, I will admit that, but I'm hoping to change that as soon as I can. With that being said, stay safe and take care, and I'll catch you all in next week's video of issue 46 of Imperium, or something else on the channel. See ya.